Salut aquaponics growers. I want to talk about prawns and I want to explain you the different types of prawns that exist around the planet. So when we think about prawns, we have to think that there are two types of prawns. There are the marine prawns. When I say marine, I'm thinking salt water. Prawns living into the sea. And we also got freshwater prawns living inland, or at least in rivers or in lakes. In both of those categories, we have two subcategories. We got the prawns living in warm water and the prawns living in cold water. Same thing for the freshwater, for water prawns. We have the warm water and the cold water. So now, in terms of marine species in warm water, that's all the prawns you can think of. The one you see when you go to see your fishmonger. All the Peneus vanamei, which is a white shrimp, Peneus monodon, which is a black tiger. Then you got a lot of other species, Peneus indicus. So all those prawns here, they look fantastic. Most of the time they are sold cooked, they are red. There is a lot of meat, they are very big, lot of meat to eat. And the specificity of those type of prawns is when they spawn, they release the eggs into the environment, into the sea. So don't keep the eggs under the tail. The second type of prawns that is living into the sea is a cold water prawns. And most of them, they come from North Atlantic. There are different types of species. But those ones, generally, they are gray, because they are so raw, and they may have some eggs under the tail, because when they reproduce, they keep the eggs under the tail. So you see, you got two different types of prawns that we eat, that we consume, but both of them, they are in salt water, which is a very specific environment that has nothing to do with what we do in our backyard in aquaponics, right? Here we are in fresh water. So if you put some of those prawns in your pond, even if the temperature is good, they are not going to like it, right? Because here it's fresh water, they are not adapted to live in this environment, and they're going to die super quickly. So just forget about those for aquaponics, unless you want to really experiment and go for saltwater aquaponics, but then that's a different game, and that would be very more complex. Hello, the bird. So then when we talk about freshwater, that's where we are. So now we got two different options. We got the warm water prawns, and here we got the macrobrachium, which is a type of prawn that has got some claws. It's a prawn as well that can create a lot of flesh, and it's original from Asia, even north of Australia, and it's been imported all around the planet on the tropical latitude. So only in freshwater, right? So lakes and rivers. This one is excellent to eat. And if you live in those type of environment where you live in a tropical country where the water temperature is around 24 degrees, that's exactly the type of prawn that you can try to find and grow in aquaponics. But here, I am in Melbourne in the south of Australia, and in winter we can have 0 degrees Celsius, right? It can be quite cold. So we need to use a prawn that is adapted to the temperature, adapted to very cold temperature and very warm temperature. So we just use some cold water prawns. They are called glass shrimp, glass prawns, because they are transparent. Most of the prawns are transparent while they are alive or gray, but those ones, they are really, really transparent. You barely see them. They are called glass shrimp. Most of the time they are used as a bait to go fishing, but you can catch some and put them in your aquaponics system. And here's the function that we are looking for. We got three main functions. The first one is we're going to increase the biodiversity. So all those functions are linked, right? First one is biodiversity. Then, second version that is highly important to me is to close the loop. So what I mean by closing the loop, I mean that when you add those little prawns, they are very small creatures, you add them in your pond, they're gonna eat the nutrients they find. And here in a pond like this, they will eat the algae, and they will eat any fish waste, or they will eat the fish food that has been eaten by the fish, so the fish food that is wasted. So basically, they will consume a waste and they will transform it into prawn. But prawns, when they are at high population, first they hide around the plants, you know, in between all your aquatic plants. But after a while, when there are a lot of them, they start to swim around and they will get eaten by the fish. So basically, you transform a waste into a nutrient for your fish. And eventually, you transform a waste into fish. So it's fantastic because you produce more fish or you consume less fish food. So it's a big win. And the really last reason why we want to have prawns is because it's just a cool animal. It's very cool, it's very nice to see them. It adds more biodiversity, so it makes things even more interesting. You know, in my pond I got a lot of living creatures, but adding prawns into the mix makes things even much better, much more interesting. You never know what you're going to see. So that's the reason why in aquaponics, if you live in an area like me, you want to grow some prawns in your aquaponics system. So now, where do you find them? That's the tricky part. Some of you will know where they are because you live in an area where there are plenty of them. Some others, you have no idea, but maybe there are some in your lakes and rivers. So just go and explore, have a look in the lakes. Sometimes you can go with a little net around the plants, around the little rocks, and see if you can catch a few. You will be surprised. A lot of people have them around the place and they have no idea about it because they are small, they are transparent, they are not obvious creatures to see. And that's exactly what we're going to do together. We're going to go in a lake just nearby where I live, in Melbourne area, and we're going to try to catch a few prawns and bring them into this pond. Let's go. Today I am around the lake, as you can see behind me. And the idea is to increase my aquaponics biodiversity, so to catch a few prawns, hopefully, to bring into my aquaponics ecosystem. So we'll see what I can catch. Okay, so I am back and I got a few fish. So you see we are around the pond. So let's have a look at what we have here. We have a fair few prawns that you can see on the side. You can see all on the side of the bucket. There are some prawns swimming. Also there are some gambusia, some mosquito fish. But what I'm interested in is the prawns. The gambusia I already got some in the pond. So I will try to introduce those prawns. I will introduce those prawns, but I hope they will survive. I will put them in the pond. Of course, that's a perfect environment for them, but we have the goldfish and we have the trout, and they will be very happy to eat those prawns. So I'm not too worried because there is a fair number of prawns here. And if you look at my pond, on all the sides of the pond I got this kind of little jungle there. It's a kind of mangrove where the prawns will be able to grow and they will not be able to get caught, or the trout will not be able to catch all of them. And I got also this island in the middle here. So this island is a float full of Vietnamese mint and all this root system here below. There are a lot of bacteria here growing on it, and the prawns will find a lot of food here with the different algae. Also I got all the watercress here on the side, a lot of area where the prawns can hide. And of course there I just did some big cleaning on my pond. So all this area here, it's gonna be covered with plants very soon, and therefore a lot of roots are gonna grow there. So it's a perfect environment for the prawns. I'm very excited to add them into the pond. The only thing is that as I caught the prawns, I also caught a little kind of freshwater flathead. It's a little freshwater predator fish, I will show it to you very closely, but I definitely don't want to introduce this one into the pond, otherwise it's gonna have a big impact on the prawns and also on the gambusia, the mosquito fish, which are also a food for the trout. So I don't want this fish to be introduced in the ecosystem. The trout will be able to eat a few of those freshwater flatheads that I will show you closely, but they will never be able to manage the population because this little fish doesn't move much. He's on the bottom and he can hide under the rocks. So it would definitely decrease the quantity of gambusia, and I don't want this to happen. So what I will do, I will put all those fish in a blue bucket. I got a blue bucket somewhere, and we will have a look at exactly what is inside, and I will sort those fish out. The little flathead, I will put it in another setup.
As you can see, there is plenty of life here. Okay, so what do we have here? Yeah. So mainly we have gambusia. We got some prawns, and a gambusia here is huge. You see this mother here? It's a very big one, so it's gonna be nice. But what I want to avoid is those type of flatheads here, this type of fish, because that's a predator that is gonna eat all the gambusia and the prawns. So I really don't need this because I got my my trout. So I don't want to add another predator. So let me catch one of these prawns and let me explain you why I really like having prawns in my pond. So first, as you can see, they are very small animals, and where they are into the water, they are almost transparent. They are cute little creatures, but they eat a lot of algae. They eat anything that is in the pond. They will eat bacteria as well if there is too much. They will eat if there is a dead fish or whatever. I mean, you got a lot of different species of prawns. Some are strictly vegetarian, but most of them will eat anything they find. So, as you can imagine, when you got benthic algae in your pond, those ones will be very happy to eat them, and they will kind of keep the pond clean, if we can talk this way, even if for me algae is not dirty. Algae can be really good. But you see those little prawns, they will do a fantastic job. So I hope they will grow in the pond. I will hope they will reproduce, make a lot of babies, and they will be a source of food for the ecosystem, for the fish as well. You know, if the trout find them, they will definitely eat them, but my big trout will probably not bother, but if I got small trouts, yes, they will definitely eat them. So it's really good to have them in the ecosystem. Also here we can see a little dragonfly larvae. Here, you see? This little creature is a dragonfly larvae. I don't mind, I like those animals. I got some dragonfly on my pond, and I got a lot of larvae in the pond. Sometimes you see them, they grow, they go out of the pond and they transform themselves, so they climb on the plants. And this is a terrific predator actually. They eat small fish, you can see it here. They eat small fish. Their jaw actually, their jaw is a weapon. They can throw the jaw to their prey. It's very interesting. Anyway, I will put all those little babies in my pond, and hopefully most of them will survive. Let's put them near those woods. Okay, let me try to take a video of some prawns in the pond. I have to do it now, otherwise later will be too late. Here you can see all the eyes. You see they are straight into the algae at the wall of the pond. See, there is a bit of current in the pond. And all those eyes you can see, they are prawns. They're already on it, huh? It's really cool to see it. So, let me show you. I will try to make them move so you can kind of understand. Oh, you see how quick they are? Look at this one. It's almost instantaneous. Here we got the new Gambusia. Like to swim in the sunlight. Very nice. Here we can see all those prawns. Try to make them move so you can see.
So I hope you learned a few things in this video, and I hope it inspires you to increase the biodiversity in your own aquaponics system. One thing that is very important to note is that here I am in a natural aquaponics system. So once again, this is not just an ornamental pond. I got the fish tank here and I got the grow beds, 2 grow beds at the back. Everything looks very natural. So when you look at my backyard, sometimes you don't realize, but that's an aquaponics system. All this is aquaponics. So the very important thing for you, if you're an aquaponics system, that is a classic fish tank in plastic, as we see very often. You got the water level here, and you got your fish inside. Here, there is no need to do this. You will not be able to put any prawn there, because any prawns that you will put will never be able to hide, will get eaten by the fish. So you can only do this if you got this type of natural environment, such as what I have. Here I got my pond, and I got a lot of aquatic plants, and I even got a float here in the middle with some plants and some roots. So the prawns, they can, even if there are some fish, there are plenty of fish in my pond, and I can tell you, even if I got some fish, the prawns can hide here in the plants, and they can hide in the roots of the float. Here, there is nowhere that the prawns are going to hide. Even if you put some tubes or pipes, it's not going to be, they're going to disappear very quickly. While here, you can maintain a real population of prawns here. They can breed in those areas, and sometimes when they swim around, the fish will eat them just to, basically they're just going to control the population. So it's a really, it's very important for you, if you're in aquaponics, if you want to have a big biodiversity in your ecosystem, to go for this and not for that. This is good. These type of systems are good to learn aquaponics. I still recommend them for people who want to start aquaponics cheaply. You have an aquaponics system that is done from an IBC in plastic. It can be useful because you can understand how aquaponics works. But once you understand, I really recommend everyone to go to this type of aquaponics, those ones. And if you don't know how to do it, again, just be part of the movement aquaponics revolution, because that's a real revolution that we have going from here to there. There you can have your whole ecosystem, and look at what we have at the back. This is Amazonia in your backyard. That's what it is. And it produces way more food than that, way more. So I will try to not fall in the pond. In the description there is a link, and that's where you can join the movement aquaponics revolution, and there you will have access to free aquaponics critical information to build your own aquaponics system, and I will give you some support to go further if you want. If you enjoyed this video, you can share it and you can give it a like. And I will see you in the next video. Salut!